Howdy again. I'm Brent Vize, chair of the Montgomery County Forward Party, and I'm here to talk to you about housing and the cost of housing and what is going on in the housing market here in the United States and even specifically here in Texas. As I stated in my last video regarding the inflation rate, housing is a very tricky little monster that we've developed here in our country because there's all kinds of different components to it that can make it seem to be insurmountable and complicated. But reality says that it's actually kind of simple. It literally comes down to supply and demand. And we're going to talk about that now in greater detail. What it boils down to is we have two things going on in this country, and the biggest thing that's happening is our demographic shift. Yes, demographics. Remember those boomers? The baby boomers, yeah, they're retiring, right? Beginning to get out of the workforce. We're going to be hitting their max capacity to retire here in the next year and a half, basically, when they're going to be retiring or hitting 65 potentially and able to retire, because not everybody retires at 65 now. But basically 15,000 baby boomers a day are going to be hitting the age of 65 in the next 18 months. That's kind of the peak of the baby boomer retiring age. And then they start coming down. Baby boomers are the largest group, or have been the largest group, in our country. They are by far the largest group of homeowners in our country. As they are getting older, they are realizing that, you know what? I want to stay in my house as long as possible because that's where they've been for a long time. And from my interactions with them, having working with the Medicare population now for over 2 decades, people really want to stay in their homes as long as possible. We should want that for them because they've earned that capability to be able to do that. They bought their homes, saved their money into their homes. They have a huge nest egg into their homes. They feel comfortable in their homes. Why not let them stay there? They don't have to move out into an assisted living facility or anywhere else if they don't want to. That's what's happening. You had the baby boomers staying in their homes. And that is the problem to a certain extent. Because now you have this other demographic that is growing and has grown into being the largest demographic in our country, and that's our millennials. The millennials are now at the age to where they need homes because they're starting their families. They got to have those 2-3 bedrooms. They need that backyard, front yard for their families. So they're looking for those homes to be able to do exactly that, raise their families. They are now in larger numbers than the baby boomers, but they're not finding those homes because the boomers are not leaving them. So the existing stock of homes that are already built and available, that are the most affordable in most instances, okay, they're simply not there. That is the key problem. You have the increased demand from the millennials for need of those single family homes, and you have the decreased supply from the boomers that are wanting to stay in their existing homes. That is what's causing the huge increase in existing home prices that's being felt all across this country. It's literally a law of supply and demand at work. So what do? Well, you say you build bigger apartments. Well, that is also an issue. It takes time. It takes a lot of money, a lot of infrastructure to build apartments. And now you have the need for having bigger apartments because traditionally you could just get a 1-bedroom, 1 bath, maybe 2 bedrooms, and that's fine. Now the millennials are looking at 3 bedrooms, maybe even 4 if needed. So that's a whole other ball game that these developers have to account for, and they haven't been able to do that yet. That's another issue. That's why apartment rents are increasing as fast as they are as well, because we have a shortage of apartments, because we have increased demand from people that can't find the homes to be able to find the apartments they need for the space they need for their families in the millennials. So it's a lot of supply and demand issues that we're facing out there that's causing this issue. Now, you would think that the interest rates, one of the reasons why they increased them not only was to address the inflation that I generally spoke of earlier in my previous video, but another issue they were trying to address is this home situation and trying to temper down that demand so that people would not have that much going into it and being able to cause the prices to keep escalating higher and higher and higher. Well, the problem is that people need what they need regardless, and they haven't really been able to address that, unfortunately. So what do we do? How are we going to be able to fix this issue? Well, in the southern states, the Sun Belt, they have been on a big building boom because they are more easy on some building permits and stuff. They have more land available. So it's easier to build these big, large residential developments. And you see that popping up all over the place in the Sun Belt, but especially in Florida and Texas. I mean, here in Montgomery County, we have these huge developments all over the place with single family homes popping up. Single family homes in the 300s, starting in the 300s. You know, that's great. And that has helped a little bit in being able to lower the price for some things and giving some people opportunities to get in homes. But there's not a lot of millennials yet that are completely comfortable with being able to afford a $300,000 home, right? So that is still not fixing the total issue. You still have prices going up, just not going up like this, they're going up like this. What's going on? Well, now we also have a glut starting of these $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 homes because they've built so many of them that now they've basically tapped that market and strung it out so much that now it's getting harder and harder for these houses to sell. So we got a little bit of a housing bubble starting to form in Florida, Texas, and some other places for new homes that are at these pricing levels. But we still have these huge needs from these millennials that need affordable housing for their starter families that they want to be getting going on. What do we do? Well, since this is a supply issue, one of the things that government can do is basically decide, you know what, let's make it easier for you to be able to build smaller homes on less land. Zoning regulations in cities especially can be very particular on the size of the lot, depending on the square footage you're being built on that lot. A lot of these requirements require these amounts of square footage that kind of doesn't make a lot of sense in some instances, and it makes it almost impossible for you to be able to build a smaller home, less expensive home on a bigger lot. So what if the cities, towns, and municipalities, jurisdictions, townships decided, you know what, we're going to reduce the lot size and the square footage requirement so that it's now very easy for you to build 1,000 or 1,500 square foot home on a 2,000 square foot lot. Maybe you don't have a huge backyard or front yard, but you're able to at least probably get a 2 or 3 bedroom home out of that for about 1,500 square feet. And that home is going to be much more reasonably priced in the $150,000 to $200,000 range, maybe even a little bit more than $200,000. Cities are doing this. Houston has been doing this for a little while, and they've seen a great deal of success with, I think the number that I saw was 70,000 of these lots getting approved so that they could have these that number of homes potentially being built. I think some other cities are looking at doing this. This is how government can address the supply side thing, with changes in how they regulate and look at these types of situations. This is the way that we're going to be able to address this, by making it easier for us to build these smaller homes that are less expensive, less costly, and more affordable for the millennials that they need. And when we do that, then that price is going to start matching the supply, and then we're going to find a new equilibrium. And the price inflation that we see in mortgages and rate and rents are going to flatten out and level out. This is how we can address that issue. That's what's going on in the housing market. Simple supply and too much demand. Find the new equilibrium, make it easier to give the supply out there. Interest rates are going to come down a little bit. That's going to be a challenge because demand is going to increase at that point. So we've got to get faster at being able to supply what that demand is going to need. Okay? But money is there to be able to do this. We just got to have it happen. Simple supply and demand. Find that equilibrium, baby. That's what it matters. Hope this helps you figure out what's going on in the housing market. You find this informative and easy to understand. I'm Brent Veazey, Chair of the Montgomery County Forward Party. Thank you very much for your time and your attention on this. Look forward to talking to you soon on another topic here on the Forward Party channel. Thank you very much. Take care. Goodbye.